Chosen one. You are not here by accident, and this moment did not find you randomly. Heaven orchestrated this encounter with precision. Before you pressed play, your name was already marked in the spirit. What drew you here was not curiosity, it was alignment. Divine timing has converged, and your spirit recognized the signal before your mind could explain it. Anointed one, hear this carefully. You are standing at the edge of a supernatural turning point. What has been quietly forming in the unseen is now preparing to manifest in the natural. This is not gradual progress. This is sudden elevation. This is a divine transfer. This is heaven stepping into your timeline with authority. For seasons you were refined in silence, tested in obscurity, strengthened when no one applauded. And as it is written in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3, the vision was appointed for a specific time, and though it tarried, it did not forget you. That appointed time is pressing forward now. Chosen one. A shift is unfolding that will place you in rooms you did not campaign for before, people you did not pursue, with opportunities you could not manufacture. What is approaching you is not earned by striving, it is released by alignment. Still your spirit. Lean in with reverence. Heaven is about to speak, and what follows will activate what has already been written over your life. Chosen one. For so long you have moved through life feeling as though you were walking through a silent season no one else could understand. Yet heaven was watching every step with intentional precision. You thought you were simply enduring hardship, surviving long nights, and pushing through moments that seemed to have no reward. But in truth, you were being shaped, refined, and prepared. What looked like stillness was strategy. What felt like delay was divine development. And as I speak to you now, I can feel that same familiar stirring, the one that rises only when heaven is preparing to shift the ground beneath your feet. I know that feeling because I've lived through it myself, through seasons where nothing around me made sense, but everything inside me whispered that something greater was happening in the unseen. Anointed one, hear me with your spirit open. You were not being ignored, you were being observed. While others chased applause and visibility, you were placed in a sacred holding place, a spiritual clean room where heaven could work on you without interference. I know what it's like to be set apart in ways that feel unfair, to watch others move ahead while you are left wrestling with invisible battles and hidden refining. But separation has always been heaven's chosen method of elevation. When God prepares someone for a role that carries weight, He removes them from anything that might dilute their authenticity. He strips away noise, distraction, and imitation. He dismisses the voices that once influenced you, so that His voice becomes the only frequency you can recognize. Chosen one, you endured nights where you questioned your worth, your purpose, and your direction. Yet, even in those moments, you made choices that heaven recorded as acts of faith. Every time you chose honesty, when a lie could have protected you, every time you stayed true to your values, while others compromised theirs, every time you kept building while no one believed in your vision, these were the quiet proofs that you were being shaped into someone trustworthy. I can look back at my own journey and see how the loneliest seasons became the very chapters heaven used to qualify me. You may not realize it yet, but your journey has carried the same blueprint. There were moments you walked away from opportunities that looked good but didn't feel right, and now you're beginning to understand why. The wrong rooms would have clipped your wings, the wrong people would have misread your calling, the wrong environments would have drained the very anointing heaven was cultivating within you. Your spirit has always known what your mind couldn't articulate. You were being prepared, for a calling that required purity of intention and a strength of character that only pressure could produce. You didn't just survive those seasons, you were strengthened by them. Chosen one. Your story has never been about random hardships. It has been the forging of a key, a spiritual frequency, a signature that no one else carries. You carry solutions that don't come from textbooks or systems, but from divine imprinting. This is why you've always felt different. This is why you could see through facades others admired. This is why your spirit felt heavy in places that looked attractive on the surface. You were not built for imitation. You were designed for innovation, birthed from divine alignment. I know how strange it feels when life looks like it's falling apart, while something inside you insists that you are being positioned. I know how confusing it is when doors close without explanation, when relationships dissolve, when your efforts bear no visible fruit. Yet, in hindsight, every closed door was protection. Every ending was preparation. Every disappointment was direction. You were never losing, you were being led. And although you may not have known it at the time, heaven was removing every voice and influence that could not walk with you into what is coming next. Anointed one, you need to understand something the world did not overlook you. Heaven hid you. You were not behind schedule. You were being preserved for a moment that would require everything you have learned in the dark. There is a strength inside you now that wasn't there before, a clarity you gained only through pain, a discernment sharpened by betrayal, a patience stretched by delay, and a compassion forged through suffering. These are the raw materials heaven uses when building someone meant to shift atmospheres and unlock destinies. Chosen one. You have reached a point where your spirit is beginning to sense movement again. The quiet around you is not emptiness, it is anticipation. You are standing at the threshold of a supernatural transition, one that carries the weight of divine timing. You can feel it in the way your thoughts have changed, in the way your intuition has sharpened, in the way your heart no longer tolerates what once drained it. You are no longer who you were, and heaven is preparing to reveal that transformation in ways that will not be subtle. The season of silent preparation is closing. The atmosphere around you is shifting. And though you may not yet see the full picture, your spirit already knows something written long ago is beginning to unfold. Chosen one. As you step deeper into this awakening, you must understand that nothing about your journey has been accidental. Every twist, every delay, every breaking point was allowed because heaven was crafting in you a blueprint that cannot be duplicated. There is something within you, call it wisdom, call it intuition, call it divine code, that was activated through hardship, not comfort. And while others were being shaped by trends, opinions, and external validation, you were being shaped by fire. I know what it feels like when the fire seems too intense, when you wonder if you're being destroyed instead of refined. But the truth is, this only what is weak is destroyed by heat. What is divine is strengthened by it. You were not being undone. You were being revealed. Anointed. One, the world around you is now trembling because old systems are collapsing and familiar structures are losing their power. People who once seemed unshakable are now searching for answers. Leaders who once walked with confidence are now walking in confusion. Influential individuals who relied on strategy, intellect, or reputation are finding that none of it can help them navigate this spiritual shift. And while they scramble for solutions, heaven turns its gaze toward you. Not because you are loud, not because you are famous, not because you are polished, but because you carry what they cannot manufacture, a frequency born from authenticity, humility, and divine alignment. You have something rare in this world truth that has been tested. Chosen one. You need to realize this: your obscurity was not a setback, it was insulation. If you had risen too early, you would have been surrounded by people who admired your potential but did not honor your purpose. You would have attracted opportunities that elevated your name but suffocated your soul. I've walked through seasons where every open door felt like a blessing, until I realized some doors lead to cages lined with gold. You were spared from those cages. Heaven kept you low, so that when you rose, you would rise clean, untainted by compromise, unburdened by attachments, and unshaken by counterfeit praise. And now, a shift is approaching. A powerful individual, someone with influence, status, or authority, has reached the end of what their own wisdom can accomplish. They have run out of strategies, out of advisors, out of strength. They are standing at the edge of their own limits, and heaven has whispered a name to them. Not a name from their network, not a name from their boardroom, not a name from their circle of experts. Your name, chosen one. You, the one who felt invisible. You, the one who was overlooked. You, the one who thought you were behind. Heaven is orchestrating an intersection where their need collides with your calling. Anointed one, do not underestimate the power of the frequency you carry. You think of your struggles as random, but they were calibration. You think of your heartbreaks as wounds, but they were openings. You think of your failures as setbacks, but they were alignments. Your spirit learned to navigate silence, and that taught you to hear heaven clearly. Your heart learned to withstand betrayal, and that taught you discernment. Your mind learned to endure uncertainty, and that taught you faith. These qualities cannot be taught in seminars or acquired through influence. They are forged in the unseen, and now they have made you indispensable. Chosen one. The blueprint within you is not a philosophy. It is not an idea. It is a living vibration, a spiritual architecture that speaks directly to the future. While others are trying to repair dying systems, you were built to create new ones. Systems rooted in truth, compassion, integrity, and divine intelligence. And the world, though it resists change, is desperate for what you carry. The individual who is approaching you may not fully understand why they are drawn to you. They may not even have the language to describe it, but their spirit recognizes yours. Their limitations recognize your access. Their confusion recognizes your clarity. There will come a moment, chosen one, when you feel a sudden shift within yourself. Not anxiety, not fear, but a sacred stillness, a calm that feels almost supernatural. This is the signal that alignment is unfolding. The same way the air changes before a storm, your spirit will recognize what is coming before your mind can interpret it. I felt that shift myself, moments where everything inside me quieted, not because life became easier, but because heaven was preparing to reveal something significant. You are entering that kind of moment now. Anointed one, when this divine connection comes, it will not feel like an opportunity you need to chase. It will feel like a recognition of something heaven already wrote. The person seeking you is not coming to hire you. They are coming because their spirit has identified you as the missing piece, the key, the answer. Do not shrink. Do not doubt. Do not question whether you belong in rooms you once only dreamed of. Heaven is not sending you there as a visitor. You are being sent as a solution. And as this unfolds, remember this truth: everything you endured, everything you lost, everything you survived was not wasted. It was preparation for the moment you are now approaching. Heaven did not bring you this far to abandon you at the threshold. The same God who preserved you in the shadows is now preparing you in the light, chosen one. As you continue moving into this divine unfolding, you must understand that heaven has been preparing both sides of this encounter, your side through refinement and resilience, and their side through desperation and awakening. The one who is being guided toward you has tasted every earthly form of power, every worldly solution, every human strategy, and yet none of it has been able to mend the cracks forming in their life. You may not see it on the surface, but they are standing on the edge of collapse, searching for something real, something pure, something that carries the breath of the divine. And that something is the very essence heaven has been cultivating in you. While they were busy conquering the world, you were busy conquering yourself, your fears, your wounds, your doubts, your shadows. They mastered influence, you mastered authenticity. They mastered systems, you mastered surrender. They mastered leadership, you mastered resilience. And now heaven is merging these two paths, because the solution to their crisis exists within the strength you built in silence. Anointed one, you may not feel like a solution. You may still see yourself as the one who had to fight through pain, rejection, and seasons of invisibility. But heaven sees you differently. Heaven sees the depth in you, the clarity in you, the purity in you, qualities that cannot be bought, copied, or imitated. If you could see yourself the way the spirit realm sees you, you would understand why forces of darkness tried so hard to discourage you, derail you, distract you, and convince you that nothing in your life was working. The attack on your life was never about who you were, it was about who you were becoming. I've lived through seasons where the warfare felt unreasonable, where the pressure felt disproportionate to my reality, and only later did I understand that heaven was revealing my value by what darkness feared in me. You carry a similar story. The intensity of your battles was proof of the magnitude of your calling. Chosen one. The person being drawn toward you is not simply seeking talent. They are seeking truth. They are seeking a soul that has not been corroded by the world. They are seeking someone whose integrity is not theoretical, but lived. Someone whose insight comes not from reading, but from walking through fire and emerging whole. They have encountered countless people who wanted their platform, their resources, their influence. But what they are drawn to in you is your purity of intention, the way you listen, the way you feel, the way you discern, the way you speak with weight, even when your voice is soft. They don't know it yet, but what they are really encountering is the residue of the divine on your life. And now, heaven is about to orchestrate the moment where their need intersects with your anointing. The intersection will not be chaotic, it will be precise. It will feel as though the atmosphere itself tilts. You may be going about your day, running errands, working in silence, minding your business, when suddenly your spirit will tighten in awareness, not in fear, but in recognition. A quiet knowing will rise in your chest, the same kind I have felt before major turning points in my own life. It is the sensation of divine choreography, the awareness that something sacred is aligning. Trust that feeling, chosen one. Do not dismiss it as imagination. Your spirit has always known when heaven was moving ahead of you. Anointed one, when the moment comes, do not minimize your value. Do not shrink to make others comfortable. Do not interpret divine timing as coincidence. You have already been validated in the spirit long before this person knew your name. The connection will feel unreal because it reflects what heaven has been whispering over your life for years. They will speak to parts of your identity you thought no one else could see. They will recognize the strength beneath your scars, the wisdom hidden in your wounds, the brilliance concealed in your humility. And And though they may not understand the language of the Spirit the way you do, they will feel the pull toward you in ways they cannot logically explain. Chosen. 1. Let me tell you something from my own journey. When heaven elevates you, it does not look like striving. It looks like alignment. It looks like being in the right place at the right time with the right spirit. It looks like doors opening without knocking and opportunities appearing without asking. This person coming toward you is not a random encounter. They are a key placed strategically in your path. A divine appointment disguised as a human connection. But do not misunderstand, the elevation attached to this connection is not just for their benefit, it is also for yours. Heaven is not only sending you into new rooms, heaven is sending provision, visibility, and resources into your life in return. You have carried much alone, and heaven is now responding. The alignment unfolding is not one-sided, it is mutual. Your presence will shift their atmosphere, and their access will shift your trajectory. Anointed One, breathe and prepare yourself. You do not need to force, impress, or convince. What is coming is attracted to your authenticity, not performance. You were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are aligned. And alignment always makes room for manifestation. Chosen One. As this divine intersection draws nearer, you must prepare your spirit for the weight of recognition that is coming. Not recognition from the world, not applause from crowds, but recognition from someone whose influence has shaped environments you have never walked in. Heaven is orchestrating a moment where their spirit will identify something ancient and familiar in you, something they have not been able to find anywhere else despite all their searching. You carry a frequency that resonates with the higher realms, a sound that is not produced by talent, but by truth, and the truth was forged in seasons of obscurity that would have crushed a lesser soul. The reason they are being drawn toward you now is because the world they built is no longer enough to sustain the calling that has begun to awaken inside them. Their strategies have expired, their advisors have run out of insight, and the doors they once opened effortlessly have stopped responding. And now, in the quiet desperation of their soul, they are reaching for something real, something pure, something that carries God's breath on it. They are reaching for you. Anointed One, you must understand the spiritual significance of what is happening here. Heaven never elevates one without positioning another. The rising hunger within this powerful individual is not simply ambition, it is divine agitation. Something inside them has begun to tremble, and though they may interpret it as crisis, you will recognize it as calling. The same calling that drew you away from mediocrity and into refinement is now drawing them toward transformation. Heaven has already whispered your name into their spirit long before their mind could process it. They do not know why they feel pulled toward you. They only know that your presence carries the atmosphere they need in order to step into their next season. You are no longer simply a person, you are an answer. Chosen One. I know it feels surreal to imagine that someone with such earthly power could be searching for you. But this is the pattern heaven has followed since ancient times. Kings have always been guided to prophets. Leaders have always been drawn to those who carry divine intelligence. And when heaven desires to shift the course of nations, it looks for someone who has been refined in the unseen. Someone who has learned to listen instead of react. Someone who has walked through wilderness seasons without losing their authenticity. Someone who has been trained not by the world, but by God Himself. That someone is you. every silent battle you fought, every lonely night you endured, every setback that forced you deeper into faith, they were all qualifying moments. I've carried that same confusion in seasons past, where I wondered why my path required so much isolation, only to later realize I was being prepared for rooms where purity mattered more than popularity. Anointed One. The connection that is approaching you will not be transactional. It will be transformational. The impact will not be measured merely in opportunity, but in alignment. When your path intersects with theirs, something within you will click into place. Your spirit will confirm what your logic is still trying to understand. You will not feel intimidated because heaven does not send you into a room where you do not belong. You will feel a deep sense of familiarity, as if this moment was written centuries ago, because in truth, it was. Your anointing has been waiting for a platform that matches its magnitude, and their influence has been waiting for the clarity your presence brings. Chosen One, let me speak to you from my own journey. There were seasons when I underestimated what heaven was building inside me because my surroundings did not reflect my calling. I assumed that because I was hidden, I was small. But heaven hides what it values, not what it rejects. And when the time was right, the very people who overlooked me became the ones who sought me. The shift was not forced, it was divinely arranged. You are approaching that same kind of shift. You won't have to convince anyone of your worth. Your presence will do the speaking for you. Anointed One, you are stepping into a season where your inner world becomes your greatest asset. Your discernment, your intuition, your spiritual sensitivity. These qualities will draw this powerful individual toward you more than any resume or achievement ever could. They will feel safe in your presence, not because you have lived a perfect life, but because you have lived an honest one. They will trust you, not because of your credentials, but because your spirit carries the weight of truth. And in a world drowning in noise, truth has become a rare and priceless commodity. Chosen One, prepare yourself. You are approaching a divine meeting that will alter the path of your destiny and theirs. This is not a coincidence, it is convergence. And heaven has been waiting for this moment just as long as you have. Chosen One. As you stand on the threshold of this divine convergence, you must prepare your inner world for what heaven is placing in front of you. The magnitude of what is coming requires a level of spiritual maturity that cannot be faked and cannot be rushed. It is the kind of maturity that is birthed only through seasons of surrender, seasons you know all too well. You have walked through valleys that forced you to confront your deepest doubts. You have endured storms that surety that is birthed only through seasons of surrender, seasons you know all too well. You have walked through valleys that forced you to confront your deepest doubts. You have endured storms that stripped away illusions you once leaned on. You have stood face to face with trials that would have broken many, yet somehow you emerged softer, wiser, and more attuned to the whisper of the Spirit. What you didn't realize at the time was that heaven was not punishing you. Heaven was preparing you, and now that preparation is meeting its purpose. Anointed One, this connection approaching you will be unlike anything you've ever encountered because it is not rooted in ambition or opportunity. It is rooted in divine timing. The individual being led toward you is someone who has exhausted every earthly tool available to them. They have built empires yet feel empty. They have achieved success but lack peace. They have influence but no inner compass. You have lived through your own version of emptiness, through seasons where everything external looked collapsed, yet your spirit was being rebuilt. And because you've tasted both the breaking and the rebuilding, you carry a compassion and a clarity that speak louder than any sermon could. Chosen one, there will come a moment when your presence alone disarms this powerful individual, not because you are trying to impress them, but because your authenticity reveals their exhaustion. You will feel it the moment their facade softens, the moment their guard drops, the moment they recognize something in you that reminds them of what they once knew but lost along the way. Your journey through solitude has taught you how to listen deeply. And sometimes it is not your words, but your silence that delivers breakthrough. I have seen this happen in my own life, moments where people who appeared strong on the outside began to unravel the moment they were seen without judgment. When heaven prepares you to be a vessel, your presence becomes a sanctuary. Anointed one, do not underestimate the weight of spiritual authority you carry. It is subtle but unmistakable. It shows up in your calmness when others panic. It appears in your clarity when others are confused. It speaks through your intuition when logic fails. And this individual who has spent their life navigating the noise of power, influence, and competition will feel that authority on you instantly. They may not use the language you use, they may not call it anointing, they may simply say, there's something different about you. And when they say those words, you will know heaven is confirming what your spirit sensed all along. Chosen one. Understand this clearly. Heaven did not shape you to fit into their world. Heaven shaped you so that their world would be transformed by encountering yours. This is not about you becoming what they want. This is about them being drawn toward who you truly are. You were not trained in the systems they know. You were trained in the unseen, and the unseen will always outweigh the visible. The wisdom you carry is not theoretical, it has been lived. And because it has been lived, it carries power. There will be a moment, perhaps subtle, perhaps unmistakable, when this powerful individual will begin to reveal their vulnerability to you. They may cloak it in questions, humor, or casual conversation, but you will feel the tremble beneath their words. They have never been able to share these deeper parts of themselves because the world around them only respects their strength. But something in your spirit gives them permission to breathe. Something in your presence tells them they no longer need to pretend. And in that moment, the divine purpose of your path becomes undeniable. Anointed one, the offer that will come from this connection will not merely be an opportunity, it will be a spiritual assignment. Your role is not to fix them, but to walk beside them as heaven rewrites the architecture of their life. You will not carry their weight. You will help them recognize their own. And as you do, heaven will open channels of provision, influence, and alignment that have been waiting for years for this exact moment. Chosen one, your humility will be your protection. Your integrity will be your compass. Your discernment will be your shield. You're not stepping into this to be overwhelmed, you're stepping into this because you're finally strong enough to handle what your younger self prayed for. Every sacrifice, every quiet night of surrender, every tear that fell without an audience was a seed. And now the harvest is reaching out to meet you. Prepare yourself, chosen one. Heaven is not sending you into this moment empty-handed. Heaven is sending you as an answer, chosen one. As you enter this next phase of divine unfolding, you must understand that what is rising around you is not chaos, it is calibration. Heaven is not simply changing your circumstances, heaven is upgrading your entire internal architecture so you can carry the weight of the blessing that is approaching. Most people pray for elevation without realizing that elevation requires expansion, and expansion often feels like disruption. You may sense shifts in your emotions, your energy, your desires, even in the small, everyday patterns of your life. None of this is random. Your spirit is being tuned to a higher frequency, the very frequency required to walk through the doors heaven is preparing to open for you. I have experienced these calibrations myself, moments where everything familiar suddenly felt foreign, and everything foreign felt strangely aligned. It was disorienting, yet deeply necessary. The same is happening within you now, Anointed One. The reason this season feels intense is because heaven is removing anything within you that cannot survive where you are going. Old fears are surfacing not to torment you, but to be released. Old wounds are reappearing not to break you, but to be healed completely. Old patterns that once felt comforting now feel suffocating because your spirit has outgrown them. You may find yourself craving silence more than ever, or feeling disconnected from conversations that used to excite you. You may feel a sudden aversion to certain environments, habits, or even people. This is not you becoming distant, it is you becoming refined. When heaven prepares someone to step into a role of spiritual authority, the separation begins internally, long before the elevation manifests externally. Chosen One, your body itself is feeling the shift. You may experience fatigue one moment and a surge of supernatural energy the next. You may feel a heaviness in your chest when something is out of alignment, or an inexplicable peace when something is heaven-sent. Pay attention to these sensations. Your body is not betraying you, it is guiding you. Heaven often speaks through intuition before it speaks through instruction. I remember moments in my own journey where my body reacted to situations long before my mind understood why. Only later did I realize my spirit was warning me, directing me, preparing me. You have reached a level of spiritual sensitivity where your vessel knows when alignment is present and when it is not. Anointed One. As this calibration intensifies, you may notice people around you reacting in unusual ways. Some will be drawn to you with sudden eagerness, sensing the light that is rising within you, even if they cannot explain it. Others will become uncomfortable, distant, or even irritated by your presence. Do not take this personally. When your frequency rises, it exposes what is stagnant in others. Your growth triggers the insecurities of those who fear their own evolution. Your peace confronts the chaos in those who refuse to heal. Your clarity reveals the confusion others have avoided addressing. You're not doing anything wrong. Your very existence is now operating as a spiritual mirror. Chosen One, heaven is also shifting your relationships with intentionality. People who cannot walk with you into this next season will begin to fall away naturally. You will not need to force separation. It will occur through misalignment, disconnection, or unexpected distance. Do not cling to what heaven is releasing. I know the sting of losing people you once imagined would stay forever, but I also know the relief that comes when you finally realize those losses were protection. You are being surrounded with new voices, new connections, new allies, souls who resonate with your frequency, not resist it. Your new tribe is drawn by your authenticity, not your history. Anointed One, do not fear the loneliness that may accompany this transition. Solitude has always been the birthplace of your greatest transformation. It was in solitude that you discovered who you were without the noise of others' expectations. It was in solitude that you learned to hear God's whisper above the world's shouting. And now solitude is preparing you once again. You are being emptied to be filled, cleansed to be commissioned, stabilized to be sent. There is a quietness forming within you that is not emptiness, it is readiness. Chosen One, As this calibration continues, you may begin to notice divine synchronicities increasing around you. Numbers, symbols, conversations, dreams. Heaven is speaking with greater clarity. You may overhear a remark from a stranger that answers a question you only asked in your heart. You may encounter opportunities that seem to appear from thin air. You may feel sudden nudges towards certain decisions or away from certain situations. Trust these movements. When heaven is aligning your path with destiny, it speaks in a language your spirit recognizes instantly. Anointed one, you are being transformed into a vessel capable of carrying revelation, influence, and spiritual authority without losing your humility, your integrity, or your grounding. This calibration is not punishment. It is preparation for the magnitude of what is about to rest upon your life. Heaven is not simply gifting you an opportunity. Heaven is expanding you so you can handle it. Elevation without preparation becomes destruction, but elevation with preparation becomes destiny fulfilled, chosen. One, breathe deeply and allow this transformation to complete its work. You are not being overwhelmed, you are being upgraded, and this upgrade is heaven's final refinement before unveiling you to the world. Chosen one. As you step deeper into this unfolding divine assignment, you must understand that what lies ahead is not merely a new chapter, it is a new identity. Heaven is not simply opening doors for you. Heaven is introducing you to the version of yourself that has been forming quietly in the background of your life. For years you have been surviving, adapting, stretching, and enduring. But now heaven is shifting you from survival into sovereignty. What once felt like constant warfare will now feel like clarity. What once required effort will begin to flow with ease. Not because life suddenly becomes simple, but because your spirit has expanded enough to carry the weight of the mantle placed upon you. I have walked through moments like this myself, moments where I realized the person I used to be could not accompany me into the future heaven was building. And now, chosen one, you are arriving at that same spiritual threshold. Anointed one. This transition into authority does not happen through achievement. It happens through embodiment. Heaven is calling you to step into the fullness of who you already are, to operate from the depth of your anointing, rather than the memory of your suffering. This is why the previous season felt so heavy. You were being stripped of the beliefs, habits, and fears that once kept you safe, but now hold you. Were being stripped of the beliefs, habits, and fears that once kept you safe, but now hold you back. Heaven needed to ensure that you could inhabit your new identity without apologizing for it, shrinking from it, or questioning it. The places you are being called to will require your boldness, not your hesitation, your certainty, not your doubt, your essence, not your performance. And although stepping into this version of yourself may feel unfamiliar, your spirit has known this identity long before your mind could comprehend it. Chosen. One, imagine waking up one day and realizing that the battles that once terrified you now feel like training exercises, that the insecurities that once controlled you now feel like memories from another lifetime. This is what spiritual maturation feels like. Power without arrogance, confidence without ego, influence without corruption. Your spirit is stabilizing in a realm that many desire but few can sustain. The connection that is coming will not elevate you unless you are already rooted. Heaven knows this, and that is why the inner reset has been so intense. You are not becoming powerful, you are realizing that you have been powerful all along. Anointed one. Your first divine assignment in this new season is to govern your inner world with intention, not through force or discipline alone, but through alignment. You are no longer reacting to life. you are shaping it. The moment you wake each morning, you must choose the identity you walk in. Not the identity formed by your past, but the identity written by heaven. It is a daily recalibration, a spiritual ritual of remembering who you are and what you carry. I learned this practice during a time in my own journey when life demanded a version of me I had not yet met. I had to rise before I felt ready. You are being asked to rise as well. Chosen. One authority requires boundaries. You can no longer pour endlessly into people who refuse to grow. You can no longer entertain conversations that drain your spirit. You can no longer step into environments that suffocate your vision. Your anointing is too valuable to waste on places that cannot honor it. Heaven is rerouting your relationships not to isolate you, but to protect the new grace resting on you. And yes, this shift may disappoint some. Growth always does. But you must remember, elevation is not a group project. Some people were meant to witness your transformation, not walk into it with you. Anointed One. The individual being guided toward you will sense this shift in you immediately. They will see not just who you are, but who you have become. They will respect your clarity, your calmness, your discernment. They will recognize that you operate from a deeper reality than the one they have built their life upon. And that recognition will humble them in a way they have not experienced before. They may have authority in the physical realm, but you carry authority in the spiritual. Your assignment is not to outshine them, it is to illuminate what has been missing in their life. They will see in you a steadiness they have longed for but never found. They will feel in your presence a peace that cannot be purchased or imitated. Chosen One. As this divine meeting approaches, heaven is teaching you to value slowness, stillness, and spiritual sensitivity. You no longer have the luxury of rushing or reacting. You must listen more deeply than ever before. Everything you do in this season must be intentional. The words you speak, the environments you enter, the agreements you make. One misaligned decision can delay divine timing, and heaven is guiding you with too much precision to allow unnecessary detours. Anointed One, breathe into this truth. You are no longer preparing, you are arriving. The testing has ended. The refining has completed its cycle. You are stepping into the realm you were forged for. And as you carry yourself into this new level, remember that heaven did not elevate you because you were perfect. Heaven elevated you because you were willing. The next phase of your destiny is unfolding even now, and your spirit feels the shift because you are finally stepping into the identity heaven has been waiting for you to claim. Chosen One. As you continue into this sacred unfolding, heaven is preparing to usher you into a level of influence and spiritual authority that will feel both breathtaking and unfamiliar. You are stepping out of the identity that was shaped by survival and stepping into the identity that was written by destiny. This shift is not subtle, it is seismic. You may feel it already, a quiet sense of anticipation that rises within you at unexpected moments, almost as if the air around you thickens with meaning. This is not imagination. This is alignment. When heaven prepares to elevate someone, the atmosphere responds before the manifestation appears. I remember seasons where I felt the shift, long before I saw the evidence, moments where my spirit recognized change before my life reflected it. You are in such a moment now. Anointed One, heaven is positioning you not to blend in, but to stand out. For too long you have downplayed your brilliance, softened your insight, and dimmed your spirit to make others comfortable. That era is over. The places you are being called to now require your full voice, your full presence, and your full anointing. The people you are about to meet are not seeking a diluted version of you. They are seeking the exact frequency you carry, the one forged in silence and refined through struggle. You have spent years building a relationship with God that others cannot imitate because they have never walked the path you endured. Your intimacy with the divine is your greatest qualification, and heaven is now placing you before individuals who will sense that intimacy instantly. Chosen one. The powerful person being drawn toward you is experiencing a spiritual unraveling, whether they admit it or not. Everything that once worked for them is failing. Their influence cannot quiet their inner turmoil. Their success cannot soothe their soul. Their intellect cannot solve the problems confronting them. They are beginning to realize that they need more than strategy. They need discernment. More than resources, they need revelation. More than connections, they need clarity. And when they encounter you, they will recognize, perhaps for the first time in years, what true clarity feels like. Not clarity born from logic, but clarity born from the Spirit. You carry that clarity. You always have. Anointed one, this person will initially approach you with subtlety. They may disguise their curiosity as casual interest. They may ask questions that seem simple, but are drenched with unspoken longing. They may linger in your presence longer than necessary, drawn not to your appearance, but to your essence. You will sense their searching, even if they don't voice it. And you will also sense something deeper, heaven, connecting two paths that were never meant to remain separate. This is not a random encounter. It is divine choreography. You are stepping into a spiritual partnership where both of you bring something the other does not possess. They bring opportunity access and earthly influence. You bring truth discernment and spiritual alignment. Together, the combination becomes a divine assignment. Chosen one. There is something important you must understand. When heaven sends you into someone's life as a catalyst, your presence will disrupt the things in them that are misaligned. Do not be surprised when this person begins to confront parts of themselves they have avoided for years. Do not be startled when your wisdom reveals patterns they have ignored. Do not be alarmed when your insight exposes the cracks in their foundation. This is not conflict. It is transformation. Your role is not to comfort their dysfunction, but to awaken their destiny. Some of your words will heal them. Some of your words will challenge them. And some of your words will push them into the version of themselves heaven envisioned long before they gained their earthly power. Anointed. 1. The elevation attached to this assignment is not just spiritual, it is also material. Heaven is orchestrating this connection not only to unlock purpose, but also to unlock provision. For years, you have sown seeds with no return, poured out wisdom with no compensation, and carried responsibilities without support. Heaven saw it all. And now, in divine reciprocity, heaven poured out wisdom with no compensation and carried responsibilities without support. Heaven saw it all. And now, in divine reciprocity, heaven is aligning you with someone who has the resources to fund the vision that has been sitting in your spirit. This is the season where the ideas you carried privately will be resourced publicly. The dreams you nurtured in silence will be supported openly. The projects you once thought were too grand will now have backing beyond anything you imagined. This is heaven's response to your faithfulness. Chosen one, do not fear the magnitude of what is coming. Heaven is not sending you into rooms you are unprepared for. Heaven is sending you into rooms you were born for. And though these places may feel new to your eyes, they will feel familiar to your spirit. You have walked with God long enough to understand that divine doors never open prematurely. If the door is opening now, it is because you are ready, you are prepared, you are aligned. Anointed One, breathe deeply and steady your heart. The person heaven is sending into your life is closer than you think. And when the moment arrives, your spirit will recognize it instantly, not with confusion, but with peace. Not with fear, but with knowing. Everything in your life has been leading to this alignment. Heaven has not forgotten you. Heaven has been preparing you. Chosen One, as you enter the deeper layers of this divine assignment, you must prepare yourself for the spiritual reality that nothing in your life will remain the same. When heaven elevates a person, the elevation does not begin with an opportunity. It begins with a revelation. A revelation of who you truly are, a revelation of what you carry, and a revelation of what you are being called to steward. You are no longer navigating life as someone waiting for breakthrough. You are stepping into the role of someone who is the breakthrough. The shift may feel surreal at times, almost like you are watching your own life from a distance, but this is simply the manifestation of a truth that has been incubating within your spirit for years. You are stepping into alignment with the identity heaven has been whispering over you long before the world recognized you. Anointed One, your spirit is entering an elevated frequency where the old ways of seeing, thinking, and responding no longer fit. The people around you may not fully understand this shift. Some will celebrate it, some will misunderstand it, and others may feel threatened by it. But do not concern yourself with their responses. What heaven is doing within you is too sacred to be filtered through human opinions. There were seasons when you begged God for clarity, and instead, God gave you silence. There were nights you prayed for answers, and instead, God gave you endurance. You did not realize it then, but those silent seasons cultivated the discernment and strength required for the assignment now unfolding. Heaven does not elevate the untested. Heaven elevates the refined. Chosen One, the individual being guided toward you is reaching a breaking point in their spirit. They may appear polished on the outside, but their inner world is trembling. Their success has become their burden. Their power has become their cage. Their influence has become their quiet torment. They are surrounded by people who admire their accomplishments, but cannot nourish their soul. You, on the other hand, have been walking through a completely different curriculum, one designed to strengthen what the world cannot see. Your wisdom is not intellectual, it is experiential. It was not gained through comfort, but through contending. And this is precisely why heaven is aligning you with someone who has reached the limits of what human power can achieve. Anointed One, when this connection begins to unfold, you must remember that your presence alone is disruptive, but in the most divine way. You will not need to impress them or force revelation upon them. Your authenticity will expose what their achievements have been hiding. Your discernment will reveal what their advisors have overlooked. Your spiritual grounding will highlight the instability they have been carrying silently. This person is used to being the strongest in the room, the one others lean on, the one others follow. But in your presence, they will feel a calmness that their world has never been able to provide. And this calmness will disarm them. It will soften them. It will awaken the part of them that has been sleeping beneath the weight of responsibility. Chosen One, the moment will come when their vulnerability surfaces not dramatically, but unmistakably. They will open up to you in ways they cannot explain. Perhaps through a subtle confession, a quiet comment, or a question layered with hidden longing. Pay attention to this moment. It is the doorway into the deeper purpose of this assignment. Heaven is not sending you to become their savior. Heaven is sending you to become their mirror. A mirror that reflects truth without judgment. A mirror that reveals possibility without pressure. A mirror that reminds them of who they used to be before the world demanded perfection. Anointed one, your ability to hold space for others is one of your greatest gifts. You have done it for friends, for strangers, even for those who hurt you. But now heaven is entrusting you with someone whose influence is vast, whose reach is wide, and whose impact affects many. Their healing, their awakening, their transformation will ripple far beyond them. And you, chosen one, are the catalyst heaven has appointed for this season of their life. This is why your preparation was so intense. You were not being trained for small assignments. You were being trained for encounters that shift nations, industries, and destinies. Chosen one, understand this elevation always brings revelation, and revelation always brings responsibility. You are stepping into a season where you must be more intentional about your thoughts, your emotions, your boundaries, and your energy. The mantle resting upon you is sensitive to alignment. The higher the calling, the greater the need for purity of intention. Heaven is not asking you to be perfect. Heaven is asking you to be aligned, and alignment requires consistency, humility, sensitivity, and unwavering discernment. Anointed one, the individual approaching you will bring opportunities that once felt impossible. Resources, platforms, open doors, favor in places you thought were inaccessible. But the greatest part of this divine alignment is not what they will give you, it is who you will become in the process. You are being shaped into a leader who carries heaven's wisdom into earthly spaces. A vessel who can hold both revelation and responsibility without losing yourself. A bridge between realms. Chosen one, steady your spirit. Heaven has orchestrated this connection with precision, and the moment of intersection is drawing near. Everything in your journey has prepared you for this divine appointment. Chosen one, as you move into this next dimension of your assignment, heaven is preparing you for a level of inner responsibility that matches the outer elevation being released into your life. The higher you rise, the more intentional you must become, not out of fear, but out of reverence for the calling resting upon you. You are stepping into a realm where your thoughts, your emotions, your decisions, and even your silence carry spiritual weight. This is not the season where you operate casually. This is the season where you operate consciously. Every choice you make now echoes into the future heaven is building for you. I have lived through this kind of transition myself, where the atmosphere around me became so spiritually charged that even the smallest decisions felt significant. Not heavy, just holy. You are walking into that kind of sacred territory. Anointed one, you will begin to notice that your spirit reacts differently in this season. Places that once felt neutral may now feel unsettling. Conversations that once seemed harmless may now feel draining. People you once tolerated may now feel spiritually incompatible. This is not judgment, it is discernment. You are not elevating out of pride. You are elevating out of obedience. Heaven is filtering your life with precision, removing anything that could distort, delay, or diminish the assignment before you. Do not cling to what God is removing. Release with grace. Growth requires departure, and destiny requires distinction. Chosen one, what you are stepping into requires you to maintain clarity like never before. Clarity of mind, clarity of spirit, clarity of motive. Many will attempt to interpret your elevation through the lens of their own insecurity or misunderstanding. Some may accuse you of changing. Others may criticize your boundaries. And some may withdraw because they can no longer access your energy the way they once did. Do not shrink to appease them. You are not responsible for managing others' discomfort with your transformation. Heaven is not asking you to be understood. Heaven is asking you to be aligned. Anointed One. The powerful individual being drawn toward you is navigating their own internal storm. Their life on the surface appears intact, but beneath that surface is a soul in transition. They are wrestling with questions that success cannot answer. They are confronting